All right, today we're jumping right into something called the dopamine reset. We're going to break down the science behind why you might be feeling, well, kind of flat, and more importantly, how to get that spark back.
So tell me if this sounds familiar. You ever get that feeling where you're just bored? Even with things you used to love? Or maybe you feel a little numb, and getting motivated to do anything feels like climbing a mountain. If you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are so not alone.
And right off the bat, here is the single most important thing you need to hear. You are not broken. Seriously, this feeling isn't some kind of personal failure, and it's definitely not you being lazy. What modern neuroscience is showing us is that this is actually a super predictable response to the world we live in. It's a system problem, not a you problem.
Okay, so let's get into it. Why does life start to feel so boring sometimes? Well, it pretty much all comes down to what we can call our dopamine motivation engine. Now, this is where things get really interesting. We've all heard dopamine called the pleasure chemical, right? Well, that's not the full picture, not even close. It's way more accurate to think of it as the chemical of motivation and interest. It's the feeling of wanting to do something. It's the engine that drives you, not the destination itself.
And this is exactly where the problem kicks in. Our world is just swimming in sources of easy dopamine. I mean, think about it. The endless scrolling on social media, those super short, addictive videos, games, they all give us these constant, tiny little hits of stimulation for basically zero effort. And that's in complete contrast to effort-based rewards. You know, the good stuff like finishing a big project, learning a new skill, or hitting a personal goal.
So, when your brain gets flooded with all that easy stuff, day in and day out, its whole reward system starts to get, well, worn out. It becomes desensitized. It basically resets its expectations. And it starts asking a very logical question. Why on earth would I put in all that hard work for a big reward way down the road when I can get a quick, easy hit right here, right now? All of a sudden, normal life starts to feel pretty bland in comparison. So let's dive a little deeper. We're going to unpack 4 hidden brain traps that our modern world sets for us. This is the real science behind why you might be feeling this way.
First up, trap number 1, attention fragmentation. Every single time you're trying to work and you switch over to check a notification, you're shattering your focus. Doing this over and over literally weakens the neural circuits in your brain that are responsible for deep concentration. And here's the real kicker. You cannot have genuine interest, you can't have real emotional engagement with anything without deep, sustained attention. It's just impossible.
So what's the fix? It sounds almost too simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Practice single tasking. That's it. When you're working, just work. When you're reading, just read. Create zones in your house or times in your day where your phone is just gone, out of sight. You have to give those focus circuits a chance to heal and rebuild. Okay, next up, trap number 2, stress kills interest. This one is huge. When you're constantly stressed out, your body is flooded with the hormone cortisol. This puts your brain into full-on survival mode. And guess what there's zero room for in survival mode? Curiosity, creativity, joy. High levels of cortisol actually suppress your dopamine system, literally shutting down the parts of you that feel engaged and excited about life. And the answer here isn't to just power through it. It's the exact opposite. It's about recovery. The fix is to make good sleep a top priority, find ways to take the pressure off yourself, and this is key, actually schedule downtime. Your brain has to get out of that constant survival mode before it can even think about feeling interested again. Trap number 3 is repetition without meaning. See, our brains are wired to seek out novelty and challenge. When life becomes too predictable, just a monotonous Groundhog Day with no sense of moving forward, the dopamine system just kind of checks out. It thrives on progress, purpose, and a little bit of a healthy challenge. So the fix is to intentionally inject that meaning and progress back into your life. Set small, achievable goals. And then, this is so important, actually acknowledge and track your wins, no matter how minor they seem. Deliberately learn a new skill or add a small, manageable challenge to your routine. You gotta feed your brain the progress it's starving for. And our final trap is what ties this all together. Neuroplasticity works both ways. Your brain is constantly adapting to whatever you do repeatedly. So if you consistently choose the easy scroll, the path of comfort, and avoiding difficult tasks, you are literally physically training your brain for a low-effort life. You're building superhighways for avoidance. But, and this is the most incredible news, it works in reverse. The fix is to see effort and focus not as personality traits, but as skills you can train. By intentionally and consistently choosing to focus, to do the hard thing, you are rewiring your own brain. Your brain will follow your behavior. So, we've identified the traps. Now, let's put it all together into a clear, actionable plan. Here is your 5-step reset plan, designed to help you reclaim your focus and your interest in life.
It's a really simple, powerful loop. First, consciously reduce your intake of that instant dopamine, the mindless scrolling, the junk entertainment. Second, intentionally add small, effort-based wins to your day. Third, practice deep focus on just one thing at a time. Fourth, make sleep and recovery absolutely non-negotiable. And finally, track your progress to show your brain that all this effort is paying off.
This all leads to a final, and maybe the most empowering idea of all. We need to reframe how we think about motivation itself. Here's a final truth about your interest.
Let that one sink in. Interest isn't some magical thing you have to go out and find, like a lost key. It is an output. It's a state your brain creates for you when you give it the right inputs, when it's rested, when it's properly challenged, and when it's allowed to focus deeply. You don't find interest, you build the conditions for it. So the real takeaway here is that you are the architect of your own focus and motivation. Your daily actions are a form of training, and that leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. What will you train your brain for?